Hey guys, welcome back. So today I have a guest. This is Dave from Dave's English. Now, you guys might recognize Dave. I did a video with him a few months ago now. It was quite some time ago now.
Yeah.
And we talked about some of the problematic English language content that was being published on Instagram. Now, since that time, I've had the great joy and honor of being featured on a channel called English for Everyone. For those of you who don't know, English for Everyone is a YouTube channel with 344,000 subscribers, and it's run by a husband and wife team, Kevin and Liza. The creators of this channel have chosen to focus on mistakes that a lot of ESL English teachers make, but they've recently decided to focus on native English speakers. Recently, the creators of this channel have featured me in several of their videos, and they have pointed out what they see as mistakes in some of the content that I have published, in which I critique some of the content by ESL speakers. Now, Kevin is a native speaker. He's an American, but Liza is not a native speaker. And we're going to talk a little bit about this issue. It's going to come up later in the video, and I'm going to discuss what's problematic about someone who's not a native speaker making some of the comments that they make. So English for Everyone has published 3 videos on me, and I'm going to put the pictures of the thumbnails here. Recently, I got some comments from some of my viewers asking me to respond to these videos, and unfortunately, some people have left comments on my channel questioning my expertise. So I'm going to put some pictures here of some of the comments that people have left on my channel. Now, moving forward, if English for Everyone does some digging and they find more mistakes in my content, good for them, but I'm not going to respond. So without further ado, here is my response to English for Everyone's videos. I've decided to collaborate with Dave again because Dave is an American and a native speaker, and he's a working professional and an English teacher. Okay, so Dave is the owner of a website, Just Say It English. Now, Dave, can you tell us a little bit about the services that you provide on your website?
Right. So I'm a teacher on there, and we have about 5 or 6 other teachers. The main goal is to help those who are Russian and Ukrainian speaking students to improve their English. A lot of those students live in other countries right now because of unfortunate circumstances, but they want to work in the United States and in Europe. And our teachers that we have are focused on Russian and Ukrainian speakers, including myself. So we understand not just the problems that these speakers have, but the specific mistakes that they can make. So when we do a lesson, we say, we know that mistake, we know how to fix it. So that's what we focus on. And it is justsayitenglish.com. You can go there, look at our teachers, and find whatever teacher works for you. I work with a lot of teachers, but the other teachers we have are from Russian and Ukrainian, native speaking environments, and they are just as highly qualified.
Okay, so I'm going to put the link to Dave's website in the description of this video. And Dave, correct me if I'm wrong, but students can go to that website and they can book one-on-one lessons with either you or other teachers.
Right, they can do it immediately. Yep.
Okay, awesome. So you guys check out the link. I'm going to put it in the description, and then you can get help from people who are actually qualified to teach English. So Dave, thank you so much for joining me today. Now, before we begin here, I'd just like to know a little bit about why you personally started to critique some of this English content that was being created by non-native speakers. And then I'm going to tell you a little bit about why I started. So can you tell me about that?
Yeah. I mean, for me, it had more to do with the absolutism when it came to English teaching, which I think we'll delve into later. That, you say something this way or you say something that way, and any deviation from that path is wrong. And so when it came to a lot of non-native speakers, and we did this in our first video, for me, it was more the fact that they were getting wrong information. And getting that wrong information then can make it that somebody who is learning English says it, and when they're conversing with somebody, they'll be like, why did you use that? I mean, I use this as a very drastic example. But
Mhm.
like if I say, hey, this is an automobile, it's not an automobile, it's a coffee mug, right? So and but if I say this is a coffee cup versus a coffee mug, okay, no one's going to notice the difference. Nobody's going to care.
Mhm.
Okay. And so that is the reason why I kind of delved into it. Whether they were native English speakers or not had nothing to do with it as much as was the information correct or not. So I found a lot doing a lot of providing a lot of incorrect information and and also passing themselves off as they are the idealistic embodiment of what an English speaker should be like. So, hey, I'm from this certain country. Now I've come to America and I speak like this. I embody the native English speaker. People think that I'm a native English speaker. And I want people to, I mean, there are two things people that I want people to know. And I think Canada, it would be the same thing. One, if you're a non-native speaker and you have an accent or something like
Mhm.
that, that's fine. I mean, Canada is, just as much of an immigrant country as the United States.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people focus on that. And the second thing is that when people think that every little tiny thing is a mistake, they start questioning if they're speaking English correctly, and
Mhm.
it puts them more into a downward spiral instead of lifting it up. So I originally did this to let people know what true mistakes were
Okay.
and then fix and then help them guide them in a way that they know is and again a true mistake that would mean that if the person said it there would be a difficulty in understanding what they might say.
Right. Okay. Yeah, so Dave, for me, it was kind of the same thing. So I started critiquing some of this content that I saw on Instagram because, as you know, I'm finishing my PhD in English, and I work in post-secondary education. So I know some stuff. And when I was scrolling through Instagram, I was really shocked to see some of this English language content that was becoming very, very popular on Instagram and YouTube. And it was just so disheartening to see that people were commenting saying, thank you so much for this video, it's so great. And they didn't even realize that the information that they were getting was incorrect. So that's why I started critiquing some of this content. And when I started, I actually didn't even know about this channel, English for Everyone. But yeah, I wanted to impart my knowledge to people and kind of to correct some of the things that I saw on Instagram, because again, people just didn't know. People who didn't who are just learning English, they think that the information that they're consuming on social media is accurate. They put trust in the teacher, but it's bad information sometimes, unfortunately. So now let's talk about English for Everyone. So as you know, they seem to have made their entire career out of critiquing the work of others. And I think, and I'm sure you agree with me, I think they're quite petty in their approach. They're known for splitting hairs and being very obsessively detail-oriented. And I think, unfortunately, what they're doing is actually adding to the confusion of learning English rather than simplifying things for learners. So that's why I want to make this video. It's not because I care that these people think they found some dirt on me and they think they found mistakes. That's up to them. Anyone can publish anything they want on YouTube. Good for them. But the problem is, I do think it's having a negative effect on learners. And for those of us who care to educate people, this is a problem. So Dave, can you tell me just a little bit about what has it been like interacting with this channel?
Well, okay, so I'm going to take a little bit of a different route here because
Okay.
it is, but I agree with everything you say. So I agree with what you're saying. And I think it does cause confusion. It does cause problems when it comes to people trying to decipher as to what is correct within what they're saying.
Yeah.
I think that is important. But like you say, they're very nitpicking,
Yeah.
right? So for example, I mean, I literally had a lesson right before our lesson,
Uh-huh.
and I noticed that I said a couple of seconds ago. Now, technically, it's a couple of seconds ago, but a lot of times in English, we say a couple of seconds ago. We can shorten of to make it sound like which they might then deem as being an article, and then say, oh, well, that's absolutely incorrect in this case.
Mhm.
And we mentioned that, and I told the student that there can be different pronunciation issues, and
Mhm.
we're going to get to it. And one of your example videos, which I find quite funny. But
Mhm.
I'm going to go beyond it to say that while I thought at first what they were doing was a good job,
Yeah.
and I started critiquing them before they even started critiquing me, I had the same criticism as you did, but there started to become some narcissistic aspect to it
Yes.
that I think, like with both you and me, we've kind of entered their territory, and
Mhm.
they've become kind of very, they want to attack anyone within their territory. As far as their English, so I think they're very narcissistic, they're very reactionary, they are very, very picky when it comes to a lot of things. And the narcissism that there is in the situation is borderline obsessive. Well, I wouldn't even
Mhm.
say borderline obsessive. I would say it's absolutely obsessive. I
Yeah.
don't have the amount of time that I have to look at the YouTube videos every day like they do.
Yeah.
Now, if there are some issues regarding how they are emotionally or whatever, I don't want to get into that. I'm not going to touch that at all. There could be some other, medical reasons. I'm not going to get into that, but at least the 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 narcissistic aspect of it
Mhm.
goes a little bit too far.
Mhm.
And it's now at this point you wonder, are they doing it for the betterment of the English student, or are they
Yes.
doing it to try to some inferiority complex, to try to prove to somebody that they're better than somebody else? And again, that could be driven by some sort of medical reason. I don't know, but I don't want to get into that. But
Yeah.
as far as narcissism, I think definitely.
Yeah, I agree with you. So actually, I somehow I saw their channel and I thought, like you, like initially I was like, oh, this is cool. These people are correcting obvious mistakes, often mistakes that are made by non-native speakers who are teaching on social media. But then it really did cross the line eventually. And it's not just because, again, I was critiqued, but if we actually look at the mistakes or the mistakes that they point out or they try to correct, we see a problem because they are so hyper fixated on proving everyone wrong. And it's, like I said, adding to the confusion. So you guys, just to let you know, English for Everyone, they've published multiple videos, specifically Kevin, and some of the, he's critiqued dictionaries. So he's shifted from critiquing or arguing with a book to arguing with people. So I guess he has human targets now. But what English for Everyone has been doing is using people's images on their YouTube thumbnails. They're not including links or the names of the channels which they discuss. So, Dave, is that true? They haven't actually mentioned your channel?
I think that, so they've now done a second video of me in it, and with that video, they've also not done that as far as I know. It's in
Yeah,
the tags, but it's not in the actual video itself, or in the description. And I
yeah.
just know it's in the tags because I have certain things that I can look at what the tags are for that. But
Oh,
anyway, yeah. So in that case, yeah, they haven't done that. And as far as I know, to this date, the first video they did, uh, critiquing me, is still the only video on their channel that they have that you cannot comment on.
oh,
Like, the comments are actually disabled.
yeah.
Uh, but then this also goes to it. So this goes to another point. Whenever, and we'll probably talk about this, whenever they're proven wrong, they'll remove a video.
Yes.
Whereas I'll say I was wrong when it comes to something. They'll remove a video,
Yeah.
and as a matter of fact, a small little 20-second video that I've done of them, or that I did of them a few days ago, where they've already rebutted twice to that video, which shows I'm glad that I'm living rent free inside their head. But the point, especially when it's only a 20-second video that I don't even appear in,
Yeah.
it's that video that I got the clips from is no longer a video available on their website.
Yeah.
So, and I tell people, ask them why, instead of admitting they're wrong, do they remove everything in which somebody critiques and can find a mistake, and then they don't provide any of that, because I think it goes against their supposed persona they're building of,
Yeah.
we are the absolute masters of the English language, and PhDs who actually create dictionaries are inferior to
Yeah.
us.
Yeah. So that's something I'm glad you brought that up, because one thing I would like viewers to know is that English for Everyone moderates their comments. So Dave, I don't know how you handle it, but I let people say whatever they want on my videos. Luckily, people don't say mean things very often. I get a couple comments that are maybe inappropriate, but I think it's important for people to be able to speak their mind. But English for Everyone, they're well known for deleting comments that are unfavorable, or any comments where people question what they say. So what does that tell you about those two individuals, Kevin and Liza? It tells you that maybe they're insecure about their knowledge, or they, like you said, they want to present themselves as being like the absolute authoritative truth on matters. But this is not true. So these people, they say things that are very problematic. And for the rest of this video, what we're going to do is Dave and I are going to look at some of these clips that they've published in which they critique me critiquing other English teachers. And I just want to have a conversation about what is problematic about what English for Everyone is telling people. So with that being said, let's keep going and let's take a look at the first clip.
This is also not correct.
Go ahead and watch the third reel.
Hey bro, sup? You look young. Which year were you born? I was born in 2005. Which year were you born? I was born in 1919. Your year begins with 19? Dude, you're old.
So the creator says, which year were you born? Which year were you born? This is incorrect. We can either say, what year were you born in? Or we can use the more common question, when were you born? Instead of which, we need to say what, and we need to use a preposition at the end. We have to say, what year were you born in?
When I ask the question, what year were you born? You can use a connector in. Some people do. You don't need to use the preposition in. You don't have to use in.
What year were you born?
What year were you born?
Jesus Christ, kid, what year were you born? Is this...
What year were you born?
What year were you born?
82.
So, I was born in 1971.
Okay, so Dave, yeah, I want to hear your thoughts. So just to start here, I'm going to put the thumbnail to the video somewhere on the screen here, and my face has been used, and I believe it says there's a mistake or avoid this mistake. But I've published a full video on this creator, POC English, and specifically in this part of my video, I corrected him when he said, which year were you born? And I gave two better alternatives. I said, what year were you born in? Or I said that you could ask someone, when were you born? When were you born being the most common form of that question. And when giving the first alternative, I said we need to use a preposition at the end. We have to say, what year were you born in? Now, this is quite common. What year were you born in? But Kevin corrected me and he said, you don't have to. Now, I just want to explain. So like I said, I gave two good alternatives and I didn't teach anything incorrect. In hindsight, maybe I could have said, maybe I shouldn't have said you have to. I should have probably said it's an option. You could say in at the end, but this isn't a mistake. It doesn't make what I said, the other two alternatives, incorrect. So Dave, what do you think?
So I'm gonna say you're wrong, and I'm gonna back you up on this with the preposition. Okay, because what year were you born and what year were you born in are two fundamentally different questions, because one is asking about a direct object and another one's asking about an indirect object. So therefore, if we were, and in this case, we're asking about an object. So technically, if we wanted to re-ask the question, we would say, in what year were you born? Okay. So in this situation, having the preposition in is indicating an indirect object. So for example, if you said, what year were you born? And you said, I was born in 1987, that would be incorrect. If you said, what year were you born? The answer should be, I was born 1987, which means you were born the year 1987, which is kind of impossible for a year to be born, right? So in this case, the preposition is needed. To give you a better example, let's just say, what year is it? Compared to what year is it in? Now, these are two fundamentally different questions. What year is it? It's 2024 as of this recording. But if I say, what year is it in? I could be talking about some event in the future. What year is the next presidential election in the United States in after this one? 2028, right? So therefore, adding the preposition in there fundamentally changes what the question is. So therefore, Kevin's incorrect. And this is another thing that they do, is they give a lot of example of native English. See, and this is what's weird. They give a lot of examples of native English speakers saying the same thing. All those people are incorrect as well, technically. You want to talk about the technicality of it. Okay. So all of those he gives is wrong. And they talk about this as some sort of confirmation to what they say, saying, listen, all these native speakers saying it, yet they're critiquing a native speaker saying it, which is weird. But the thing is, all of them are wrong. And this is my point that I say to my students: who cares? If you said, what year were you born? And I think with yours, it was more about the which. Probably.
Which.
Okay. Exactly. And in this case, you know what, Kevin, that's the point. You were wrong and all those other people were wrong, but the average native English speaker, we don't care. We know what you're saying. We understand what it is and whatnot. So if you want to talk about the technicality of the technical aspects of what they're saying, which they like to, I don't know what their technical beliefs are based on. I think it's within their own head. They were wrong. So yeah.
Thank you. Okay, so so for this video, like Dave and I might disagree in some places, probably not, but you know, here we are sharing what we know and what we think. And I wanted to show this clip right at the beginning to, you know, admit that maybe I could have worded things a little bit more carefully. But again, I offered two alternatives that are better than asking, which year were you born? So I think I did my job properly. And I'd like to point out here that, again, English for Everyone used my face on their YouTube thumbnail and made it sound like I made a mistake, which I think is very deceptive. And it gets worse. So when I first saw this video, I thought, okay, you know, I'll be careful with my wording. I want to make it very clear to learners. But this was just the beginning of one of 3 videos, and I'm sure more are coming after we publish this one. But on a similar note, I have chosen a video by English for Everyone in which Kevin corrects a non-native English teacher who says, how long have you been learning English for? And Kevin says, I can't use, or I can't say how long have you been learning English for. I can't use the preposition for in the question. So let me just show that clip.
This is also not correct.
And how long have you been learning English for?
I've been learning English for almost 27 years.
I cannot say, how long have you been learning English for? I cannot use the preposition for in the question. I just say, how long have you been learning English? We use for the answer. You can say, I have been learning English for 3 years. You can use the preposition for a negative idea. Example, I haven't been learning English for a long time. But when you ask the question, there's no for. It's just, how long have you been learning English? Don't use for with the question.
Okay, Dave, so if you had a student show up to one of your lessons and they said, I watched this video by English for Everyone, and I can't say how long have you been learning English for, what would you say to that student, or how would you advise that student?
You can. See, and this is the problem. I think this is a problem going back to what we were talking about originally with the incorrect information from other so-called teachers earlier when we started critiquing, is that these students come to you with these questions that they hear online, and it's like you have to tell them, nope, that's not true. You can say this.
Yeah.
It's okay. I just think but I will say if a student ever wants to understand the meaning of irony, this might be a perfect clip for that. So in one situation, you can't say it. In another situation, you can. And this goes back to one of the problems with English for Everyone, is that they try to be such perfectionists in their own mind so much that when they negate what they said earlier or later or whatever, there's probably always a clip in which they're saying the opposite thing, unless they found it already and have removed the video, right? But you do see a lot of this. But I would tell my student, no, there's nothing wrong with that.
So I have no idea where Kevin got that information from. I have no idea why he taught that, and it's super confusing, super confusing. So Dave, what have you learned about English for Everyone? Do you know anything about their credentials or Kevin and Liza's education, or what services they've provided in the past? Because they're pretty tight-lipped on their channel.
I was going to just say one thing I noticed really quick is that when it comes to Kevin and Liza, like, I don't know any of their history.
Okay.
I have no idea where they got their education. They said they've been teaching. I don't see any information ever that they have taught except for the English for Everyone Facebook page, which, by the way, can be an issue regarding copyright infringement and other laws regarding actually the English for Everyone book here, because they say that this is, they say that they offer these in their so-called class, but their business ended up being a colossal failure. They only did it for a few months and then they ended up closing shop. But I don't know what any of their qualifications are. And you can't see it now because they've shut down their website.
So Dave, was that a textbook that they've created that you were showing us?
No, so this is another company.
Okay.
But if you go to their, I mean, obviously they call their name English for Everyone, and once they created their Facebook page, they have, and they still do to this day, have these books as, oh, you can learn from these. And it creates a deception that
but they're not
affiliated whatsoever.
Oh my God.
Whatsoever. They're not affiliated whatsoever. So therefore, they're trying to take the popularity of the series and trying to pass it off as their own. So, many people might call this fraud. Yeah. Many people might call I've already contacted the publishers of this book to tell them about it. So, yeah, because, at the end of the day, I look at my work and what I do as a teacher and as a company to say, I built what I built myself. I don't need to build it off the backs of others. So I think it's very dishonest as well. So, but yeah, they're not affiliated whatsoever.
Okay. And we don't know actually, okay, their education, and you don't know anything about
them. They said they have been, okay, when they had their website up before they took it down, they said they had been teaching English for 15 years, but there's no history of where they taught English. There's no history of where their education comes from. There's no proof whatsoever before their Facebook page. Okay. And I have a feeling that they basically found a way in which to make money. They said, hey, we're going to be some English teachers now, and then started teaching English. And again, it was a colossal failure. They weren't even incorporated or anything like that. It's like, even my company is with the state of Illinois. You can actually look it up to see it's a legitimate company. They didn't even have that. So yeah, zero clue. They just came out of the woodwork.
Okay. So Dave and I, maybe we'll just tell you guys what our credentials are. So I have a master's degree in English, so English literature. I am finishing up my PhD in English literature. I work at a college helping with academic writing, and I work as an English tutor, and I've worked in the past as a teaching assistant at a university. Dave, can you just tell viewers what your credentials are, because you are also highly qualified?
Right. So I also got my master's degree from a Canadian university, rival university, McGill University, but it was in political science. But at that time, I was a published author, academically published author. As a matter of fact, one of my books is over here that I have.
Cool.
But I decided to leave politics and go totally into teaching English, where I did a University of Cambridge CELTA program, which is considered the gold standard of teaching English in a classroom. But then I decided, though I like teaching in a classroom, I'd rather help students one-on-one, because you are able to really focus on their needs and to help them specifically. So that's, and ever since 2019, I've been, well, actually 2017 to be honest, that's when I first started teaching English, almost immediately after I left Montreal. And been doing it ever since as my full-time job. I totally left politics, which is the best thing I've ever done.
Is it? So, and you're very transparent, and all of this information is available on your website. So you guys, if you want to take English lessons with Dave, you can check out the website and you can see his education, and he knows his stuff. So let's continue here. So we've talked about that clip. It seems that Kevin is just making up this rule for himself. He's telling people you can't say, how long have you been learning English for? But actually you can, and it's a very common way. It's a very common question form, let's say. I'm going to include some similar examples here where native English speakers use this format when they're asking this question.
John, how long have you guys been married for?
Been married for 8 years.
How long have you been living in New York City for?
41 years.
How long have you been doing this for?
How long have you been a video maker for?
A video maker, I like that title.
Let's go ahead and watch the second clip. Okay, so in this clip, I critique POC English for a second time, and I'm going to play the clip now. This one's a good one. This is one of my favorites.
Started. First, this is not a mistake.
It's snowing.
Did you guys notice the mistake? Now let's watch a clip from a video that I posted on my YouTube channel last year. Another important form of connected speech happens when we have two s sounds, one at the end of the first word, and then another s sound at the beginning of the next word.
I didn't notice any mistake because there's no mistake. You can say it's snowing. You don't have to link the words. It's more common to link the words and say it's snowing. But if you're talking slow, you can separate the words and say it's snowing. It's not a mistake. It's fine. Let's hear some native speakers saying it's snowing, and they separate the words and they don't link the sounds because it's not a mistake.
It's snowing here today.
As you can see, it's snowing pretty good here this morning at the care site.
First of all, I hear that it's snowing again in Denver.
Barton Springs is the same temperature whether it's 105 out or whether it's snowing out, and I've been there when it was snowing.
Okay, so that's the clip. So in this portion of my YouTube video in which I critiqued POC English, I corrected him because he says it says snowing. Kevin said this is not a mistake, and he says I didn't notice any mistake because there's no mistake. He says you can say it's snowing if you speak slow. But first, I'd like to nitpick because this is something that Kevin always does. And I just want to say that the sentence, I didn't notice any mistake, is technically and grammatically incorrect.
I didn't notice any mistake because there's no mistake.
Now, because mistake is a countable noun, so countable noun, something that you can count, like a pen, you say, I made a mistake, or you can say, I have a pen, it's countable. But we can't use any with a singular countable noun in a negative sentence. So we should either say, I didn't notice a mistake, or I didn't notice any mistakes. So you wouldn't say, I don't have any pen. You would say, I don't have a pen, or I don't have any pens. So I love that. I love that Kevin said that. And he's such a pedantic person, but he chose to say, I didn't notice any mistake. Do you have any comments about that, Dave?
A few. One is just, they really are a treasure trove of things once you get down into it, right?
Yeah.
This is something that they do as well, is, and I should have mentioned in the last video, but I didn't, is that if they don't know what the grammatical rule is for something, they just say it's an exception to the rule, or that it's an exception to this, like, because they don't have the knowledge to know what a grammatical rule or a vocabulary rule or something like this is. So yeah, in this situation with that, it's very, very interesting. Now, did you want to continue talking about the video as well?
Yes.
So go ahead.
Yeah. Now, I just want to add here, you guys, that you may see a video published by English for Everyone in the future, where Kevin will teach you that you can say any mistake. Now, you can say any mistake in a positive sentence. So you could say, I could say, any mistake I make will be featured in future English for Everyone videos. But again, what I'm teaching you guys here is that Kevin said, I didn't notice any mistake, and that is grammatically incorrect.
I didn't notice any mistake because there's no mistake.
But let's keep going. Let's focus on this whole it's a snowing part. This one is my favorite because I think that Kevin presents himself as someone who really cares about details, and he has a good ear, and he's constantly talking about something called the dark L and all these sounds, and he's always pronouncing the words over and over again for viewers. So he's really focused on accuracy, it seems, but he's willfully ignoring this mispronunciation. So POC clearly says in this clip, it's a snowing. It's a snowing. So just to make this point clear and to show you guys how POC English mispronounces it's snowing and how Kevin ignores this, I'm going to show you guys another clip by POC English. And I want you guys to pay special attention to how he pronounces police station. So let's watch this clip.
Police station, store, police station. Police station کجاست؟ The police station is between the store and the bank.
Okay, so if Kevin can't hear that, he has to get his hearing checked. Dave, let's talk about it. So this is clearly a mispronunciation and something that Farsi speakers do. And so what Farsi speakers do is they typically add an E sound between two S sounds. So they say, and I know this because I work with Farsi speakers, students, and they say thesis as statement, or Farsi speakers add an extra E sound to words that begin with an S and are followed by another consonant. So they say esno, estress. So English for Everyone did not hear this, probably because they don't have experience with Farsi speakers, or alternatively, Kevin may be intentionally ignoring what he hears in order to present himself as correct. And this is very messed up and harmful for learners.
I didn't notice any mistake because there's no mistake.
What if my mom or dad ask you the same question? You're gonna say the same thing? That's stupid. I did not spray 17 times my new Calvin Klein cologne for you to not notice. This is lack of awareness and imply that you are like this in every aspect of your life. Not good.
So Dave, what do you think about all this? Do you have experience maybe with this channel lying or maybe hiding facts in order to present themselves as correct? Or what do you think of this, this example here?
Well, the funny thing about this example, first and foremost, Kevin has a clip of him speaking Spanish, for example. And this is a common mistake with Spanish speakers as well.
Oh.
And he says, so he says something in Spanish, and then afterwards he says, I speak Spanish very well. And it's like, no, that builds on the narcissistic aspect of it. But even with that being the case, he fundamentally doesn't understand your video. Your video is about connected speech. And the example he gives is not connected speech. He's like, you separate them. And it's like, she's not talking about separating. She's talking about connected speech. And you're saying, oh, you can do, so what is he saying? You can do connected speech by not doing connected speech. I don't get what he's trying to say here. First of all, it is a mistake. It easily is a mistake. And every one of those examples, and I didn't hear those examples until just now. I didn't notice them. Every one of those examples he gave of a native speaker having a pause, they have something in the between, like or something like that.
Exactly.
So it is not connected speech. There is something interrupting it, and a thought can interrupt it as well. You can say, yeah, it is snowing outside. Okay, so you can be thinking about it. So it is a pause for a thought, and usually you have a filler word in there as well. He can't give you any examples of where somebody just says it's snowing outside as one connected sound. And that's something that's fundamentally interesting because, in this case, you are teaching one thing, but in order for him to say you're wrong, he has to teach something totally different, which again plays into this. They need to find something. And then that's the question. Why do they need to find it? Why, what was the goal of them doing that, especially when they don't even address the issue that you're talking about?
Right. Yeah. So I kind of tried to teach two things there. So I do have a lot of Persian followers on Instagram, and they picked up on that. But what I was teaching was, if you know connected speech, then you don't make that mistake. You say police station or it's snowing, one sound. But yeah, Kevin chose to make a point about something, and in the process, he's shown how he actually can't hear someone saying it says snowing. And like you said, one of the issues is the examples that he provides. There's someone saying in between. These examples are very bad. They're very bad examples. It's people speaking very slowly and saying it's snowing outside. It's a different thing, like you said. Okay, Dave, so let's go on and let's talk about the third clip. And this is the third video that English for Everyone has published on me. And in this video, I critiqued content that was created by someone else, a woman named Giovanna. And let's just go ahead and watch the clip and talk about the mistakes that English for Everyone has pointed out.
First, let's watch a video clip.
So let's watch the first clip.
Excuse me, is this water, sorry? I mean, is it good to drink? Yes, it is potable. Potable. Good word.
The speaker is teaching the word potable. Potable is not a common word. It is rarely used. And I actually had to look it up myself after I watched this reel.
I have no idea why she didn't know the meaning of the word and why she had to look it up. It is common, and you will see it on signs.
Okay, so there's the clip. So just to provide some context, so in this video, the creator was teaching the word potable, and I expressed that it is more common to say the water is drinkable or it is safe to drink. That's what I taught in my YouTube video. And then Liza said, it's common, potable is common, you're going to see it on signs, and she was surprised that I had never heard that word before. So Liza is a non-native speaker. She clearly has an accent, and I don't want to sound arrogant, but I truly think that everything Liza says on camera is probably written by Kevin. And it's clear in all of the videos, you can see her eyes darting across the screen, that she's constantly reading from a teleprompter or a script, and she's very careful with how she says things. So any criticism coming from her should be taken, I think, with a grain of salt. And I would like to challenge her to go live for 30 minutes on YouTube and to speak freely without a script. And then perhaps we can judge her English proficiency. Secondly, so I had said in my video, I had never heard the word potable before. And I was just being honest with my audience and letting them know that I had to look up the word, which happens to everyone, happens to all teachers. It made me do some research. It made me talk to my friends, coworkers, my parents, and ask them before I published that video if potable is a common word, because I really wanted to make sure I was giving good content to my audience. So Dave, as you know, I'm finishing up my PhD, and so I consider myself to be pretty well-read. And unlike Liza, I'm a native speaker. I've lived my entire life in Canada. And I think I have a good understanding of what words are common and uncommon in everyday speech based on my educational experience and my lived experience. So my goal with my YouTube and Instagram content has been to help people to communicate more effectively. So I taught more common ways to express this idea, and I provided better alternatives that are used in everyday speech. So Dave, I really want to know, and I don't know your answer. I don't know what you're going to say. You might disagree with me, but I promise I won't make a video on you in the future. But I really want to know, so as an American, so you live in Chicago, I believe you're based in Chicago. What do you think of all this? Is potable a common word?
No, it isn't. And this is kind of, and I agree with everything you say. And one thing I want to add on to this is every one of their videos, they say real life American English. No one speaks the way they do. Nobody talks like this. Nobody talks like a robot. That's the one thing I do. I mean, my videos are mostly for usually B2 speakers and higher, right? And so I don't have a script. I never have a script when I do a video. I might have an outline, but that's it. I don't read off of anything or anything like that. And they obviously are reading off of something, which makes their mistakes even, bigger when they, when you see them on there, because they are obviously they're not looking at what word or Google Docs is telling them is a mistake either. So, but yeah, they always say they speak real life American English, but no one in America speaks like they do. I mean, Kevin has an accent, but again, they do not, just looking at how they act and interact and this kind of attitude they have, they do not seem like people I would want to hang out with socially. But with that being said, when it comes to what you were talking about, the challenge, I sent Kevin and Liza an email a month ago challenging them to a debate about dictionaries and whether dictionaries are correct or not. They cannot, so they've never had a video where they freely speak.
Right.
Never have had a video where they freely speak. They take off comments, like you say, that disagree. And they never have anything that sounds like what I would say is real life American English. They don't speak like normal people speak, like you and I are talking to each other right now. They don't have any videos like that. And I challenged him. I challenged them to a debate. The invitation's still open. I would love to see Liza come to you. I'll take on all of them. I mean, I don't mind. I would just like to see them once, just once, speak normally for like an hour. Just like you and I are talking, just speak normally. They can't do it. They know why they can't do it, because if they do, it opens up Pandora's box for them to be critiqued with so many issues. They know it does that. And so again, I don't know. And I do think that the whole real life American English, considering she's not a native English speaker, is, again, not to knock anyone as far as that's concerned, but it's kind of, it doesn't, even with Kevin, it doesn't sound normal. People don't sound like that. I mean, unless you are a robot, people don't sound like that. So I would love to see a debate.
Is Kevin's a native speaker though, right?
Right. So Kevin's a native speaker.
Right.
As far as I know, I mean, it doesn't seem, I mean, his accent sounds absolutely normal, but I never hear him speak off the cuff.
Right.
Ever hear him speak off the cuff. And they can't do that. They can't do that. In order for them to keep this, keep this facade of a true English channel, they can't take critique. They can't do something like this in which they can be critiqued. What they don't realize is, with the examples that we've given today, we already have a lot of that evidence already.
Yeah.
But But again, I'd like to hear them sound. I'd like to hear them talk like someone does in real life American English. I would love them to just do that once, just once.
Mm-hmm. So what do you think of, yeah, can you tell me, is the word potable common? So one issue that has come up is in my video, I'm teaching that in everyday conversation, potable is not a common word. So it's common to say water is drinkable or safe to drink. Liza said that potable is common on signs. So I guess if you're going camping, you could see a sign for potable water. Can I just ask you, what is your experience with the word potable? How have you encountered it, or how frequently would you say?
It's very minimal. Okay. But if we're going to use signs as our standard of English, a lot of signs omit articles. So therefore, should we now start omitting articles when we speak because articles are omitted from a sign or from a headline in a newspaper? Right. So this whole connecting something to, hey, it's on a sign. That's about the worst example. And especially considering that they always put video clips of people saying it. Why did they have to revert to a sign?
Yeah.
And they couldn't give all of these examples of people saying it in English.
Yeah.
Again, maybe it is Lisa's lack of knowledge when it comes to English. And if Kevin wrote it, it could be his lack of, an expansive vocabulary. He might have a very limited vocabulary because, again, the words that they use are very easy and they are very limited as well. And I would say most of the so-called lessons they have as far as grammar and maybe some things with pronunciation are remedial or elementary, to say the least. So to me, there's no educational value to what they have.
Right.
And this potable, hey, it's on a sign, kind of attests to that lack of really understanding the language and what is and isn't used in English.
Yeah, so it's just super ironic that a channel that presents itself as being real life American English, real life. So in daily life, potable, I stand by my word, potable is not common. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to just put a couple pictures on the screen from the BC government camping website, and I'll show you guys that on the website, it's not called potable water, it's called drinking water. So constantly it's referred to as drinking water. And again, what I'm trying to show here is simply that the word potable is not common. So maybe you're going to see it on one sign, but in daily speech, don't bother learning the word potable. Just learn how to say or learn how to ask, is this water safe to drink? Is it drinkable? Okay, the last thing I'm going to do, I'm also going to show you guys that I found this subreddit or whatever it's called, where other native English speakers have commented that they've hardly ever heard the word. So based on the comments under the subreddit, I'm not the only native speaker who isn't familiar with this word. And unless you're playing Jeopardy or you're maybe going camping and you see it on one sign, it's safe to say that potable is not a common word.
And actually, with the Jeopardy thing, I don't know if you know that the potent potables is actually from a Saturday Night Live skit. And that's the only reason I know that it is. So if you ever find that Saturday, you'll find it. It's like the first one. They have like Norm Macdonald and it's pretty funny. But that's where that comment comes from. Saturday Night Live.
Let's just move on to the category for Double Jeopardy. They are potent potables, sounds that kitties make, twinkle, twinkle, little blank.
Okay, so yeah, rest assured, you guys, there are people like Dave and I, and we're doing good work. We're providing accurate English content for you guys, and we are really trying to help you and to help you to speak effectively in everyday conversation. And unfortunately, creators like Kevin and Liza are trying to undo our hard work, and that's why we're publishing this video. We want to set the record straight, and we want to show you guys what is problematic about some of the things these two people are saying. Dave, do you have anything you want to add?
anyone should be skeptical of somebody who removes videos without explaining why, who, you know, suppresses free speech on a website if they disagree with them, who doesn't provide certain videos such as them speaking in, you know, real life American English. People should be skeptical of those types of videos and
Right.
that kind of content. So, you know, when looking at English for Everyone, people should realize that they might not, that what they're providing is more a critique to make some sort of argument to feed into their superiority complex or inferiority complex. I don't really know which one it is. Instead of providing English lessons. And yes, we critique as well, but we don't critique. There's no, you know, Maddie from POC English and all. I don't know those people. I don't care about those people. I
Yeah.
care about the content. Whereas English for Everyone kind of is making everyone like some sort of personal vendetta type of thing going on. I don't know what it is, but you know, again, ask whenever you're looking at it in an English learning, you know, Instagram page or Facebook page or whatever, ask what the motive is for that teacher and see if that matches up with your goals as a student.
Right. Yeah. And so they've really crossed the line, and I don't think they're doing what they're doing now in order to give good information to learners. I think they have other motives that are highly problematic. And I hope this video has clarified some things for you guys. I know it's very stressful and it can be very confusing when you see people like Dave and I publish videos in which we discuss mistakes, and then some other people critique what we say, but rest assured, we have good intentions and we want to help you guys to improve your English. So stay with us and keep learning, but be careful who you learn from. Okay, Dave, that was great. Thank you so much for joining me today. And to all of our viewers, please don't forget to turn on notifications so that you guys can learn about when we're going to publish our new videos. And please don't forget to subscribe to both of our channels. I'm going to put the link to Dave's YouTube channel in the description. Dave, thanks again for joining me today. It's been really fun.